Peace and wellness to the family. I come to y'all today with another discussion. This discussion is very close to my heart, and I feel as though it will help a lot of people, specifically young men who have absent fathers in their life. The reason why I feel like this is so important because I went through a whole process that prepared me to reunite with my father after 20 plus years. I hadn't seen my father in 20 plus years. Then when I was growing up, I had a lot of resentment and anger towards my father, and it manifested in my life through very, very horrible mistakes, misguidance, and just walking a path that was just totally just toxic, and it really put me in a space of like nobody loved me truly, or I wasn't worthy, like an undesirable person. And I can admit this now that I've done the healing and I've done the inner work to be able to understand myself more and my emotions more of what I was truly feeling, rather than acting out in violence and other ways to mask what I was really truly feeling. So the story is very deep how I reunited with my father, because first, my father found me on Facebook. And when he found me on Facebook, he didn't say anything to me. You know what I'm saying? He just found me on Facebook, and I was like, oh wow, like he just kind of followed me. I didn't say anything to him, he didn't say anything to me. So from there, we just kind of kept eyes on each other. Well, I should say he kept eyes on me, because I really didn't pay him any attention, because at that point in my life, I was really consumed in my business. And I was writing a book. When my father found me on Facebook, I was writing a book, my novel, In the Sand. It's about a soldier in the Haitian Revolution. This is a very deep, cinematic novel. It's about a soldier that goes through wars in Haiti and ends up over here in America. But the most critical war he's fighting is the war within. So he goes through a lot of inward wars within himself, internal wars within himself. So the main character's name in the book is Abram. He's fighting a war within. A lot of the attributes that I put in the main character was a lot of attributes that I had within myself. So, but I did that for a reason, because I knew that a lot of the channeling was coming from an ancestor that I had no idea about in my bloodline, because I would go on 3,000-4,000 word rants. I shouldn't say rants, I'm sorry, trances with writing this book. So the trances that I would go in writing this book would be like, it would feel kind of like revelation. It would be coming to me like, I can't explain it. It was more of a feeling of a different part of the brain, like an autotelic writing form. And then I would just have these characters come out of the dark, out of nowhere, that was always present within me. So it was a whole journey writing the book. And mind you, I had no blueprint writing this book. Just like most of the times when I do videos on my channel, I have no bullet points that I talk from. So I'm looking to channel through my neuroendocrine transducer, which is the pineal gland, to pick up waves of thought and resonance to be able to bring a message to y'all. That's my main MO when it comes to autotelic flow, theta mind flow, mind state flow, alpha brain wave flow. I'm a strong believer in that, in creative flow. So that's how I go about my thought patterns with delivering communication. When I was writing my book, it was such a spiritual experience, because I could see the scene so vividly. And it was like I was there. It was like my DNA was connected to the story. And the more I researched my book, as I was doing, so my book is a historical fiction, but it's based off true events. So the more I started researching for the historical facts around the Haitian Revolution, the more I found that the character that I created was actually a real person. His name was Abraham. You can look him up. His name was Abraham. There was an Abraham town in Florida, close to during the Gullah Wars, during the times of Negro Fort. You can look that up as well. And Watermelon Town, Peanut Town. There was a lot of these Gullah towns where they named them Seminoles, but there was no real such thing as a Seminole. They were more like runaways, and you had the Red Sticks and the Creek Indians who united with the Gullahs. And these are the people who were really fighting in some of the Confederate and Union wars that were won in the South. Because I found that we ran north for freedom, but we went south for independence, because we had our own independent strongholds within the South, Negro Fort being one of them, and a couple of the towns that I named previously. But Abram himself would show up in these pictures with Native Americans as a translator, but he really was a warlord. His name was Ibrahim, and he spoke native languages, and nobody knew. He had a mystic background. Nobody knew where he came from. He fought in all 3 Gullah Wars, which is known as the Seminole Wars. But I found all this information on how the governors of Georgia and Florida were stating how this was an actual Negro war rather than an Indian war. So this black man, Abraham, that I had created from my own imagination was actually a real historical character and figure. When I found that out, that was confirmation that I was being channeled through. Well, I say all that to say this. I wrote the book. When I wrote the book, I didn't do a book release or signing until maybe like later on that year. I published the book early in the year, and then later on that year, I did a big release. I was promoting it on my Facebook, and my father saw it. I didn't know he saw it, but he saw it. He saw I was promoting it, and I did a book signing. It was very successful. People came out and supported me. It was beautiful, and I did a presentation on my book. And while I'm talking about my book, this old man walks in. I don't know who this old man is at first. And then it just hit me, and I said, is that who I think that is? Now, I had to stop in the middle of my presentation and say, excuse me, and go to the bathroom, because at this point I was so emotional. I had to shed a couple tears like, damn, that's my dad, yo. I ain't seen my dad in a minute. That's my dad's, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a joy, kind of like surprise and hurt all mixed together. But overall, it was like a harmonious bliss mixed with a little bit of pain that felt good, of rejoicing. It was a very spiritual feeling that I can't. It's a lot of feelings that I had never felt before, for sure, right? Came out the bathroom, got myself together, came out the bathroom. I went straight up to my dad, man. I said, yo, Pops, man, I don't care about nothing that happened in the past. Can we just move forward? And I love you. And he looked at me and he said, and even though my father, he still could not even tell me that he loved me. He said, love is a powerful word, son. I said, I know, that's why I'm telling you. And I'm looking you in your eyes, and I'm telling you that I love you, and I'm telling you that I need you in my life. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, at that very moment, and I'm getting emotional talking about it with y'all, man. I knew I'm the daddy now. I'm the daddy now. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so emotionally available for him. Even after all the abandonment and so many years that you just left me to figure this whole thing out on my own, I was still able to love you, because I do. Right now, my dad called me. If anything happened, I'd be right there for him. It's in the 42 laws of Ma'at. Honor thy mother and thy father. You know what I'm saying? Because this ain't personal. This is spiritual. This is a part of my DNA. My father is my father, and I respect him, and I love him. Now, I had to come into a place in my healing journey to even be here, to even be able to say that to my father. But the Creator knew that. The Creator knew that. And that's my point I want to get to. So when I got to a place in my healing journey when I was ready, and I truly forgave my father for the freeing of the anger and resentment that I had for him, he presented himself. And I was able to get closure in between me and his relationship by way of forgiving him face to face and telling him that I love him and be emotionally available for him, even though he was not never for me and still is not. See, that's the whole part of the healing journey, is that you're not just healing for you, you're healing for generations that couldn't heal before you, so you can heal the generations that will come after you. You set the example of that. This is generational health. This is what I stand on with Supreme Wellbeing and my principles as plant-based oasis. This is way deeper than the diet. So in that moment, and I had my youngest son with me, and my youngest son just running around, and my father didn't even pick him up. No, he didn't even, I know my father still deals with a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, but I never want him to feel any malice or I'm interrogating him or I'm tearing him down. I never want him to feel like that. I remember it was times when I was young, I was talking on the phone and I was so disrespectful for my father. I had to ask for forgiveness for that. I don't feel good about that. Yeah, I was young, I was angry, but I should not never talk to my father like that. I love my father. And yes, he abandoned me. Yes, he has did some shameful things. Yes, he should have some guilt. But I pray for him that he gets over that and he becomes the man that I know that he can be before he goes to the grave. Because I know it's there in him. And so my book brought us together. This spiritual journey right here in the sand. I'm telling y'all, this right here. I ain't just saying this. I was a vessel for this. This does not come from me. If y'all really, anybody's into ancestor veneration, read In the Sand by ALMansur. It's on Amazon and it's on my website. I promise you. But that book is what reunited me with my father in order for me and got me in a position to be able to forgive him and let go and let him know that I still got love for him. And I always will, and I'll always be there for him, even if he wasn't for me. Because I got to a place in my healing journey to where I knew I had to forgive my father. If I didn't, I would be holding on and harboring feelings within my heart, and I couldn't be able to really get in touch and heal my heart chakra. And my heart and mind coherence, I would have blockages. So how could I truly heal holding on to malice and hate and hatred towards my own DNA? I'm trying to rejuvenate my DNA. How can I do that to my father? Regardless of what he did, I forgive him. That's a choice to do that. And I made it, and I committed to it. I'm still processing me reuniting with my father over 20-something years. There was a lot going on in my life at that time. And I had to digest it, I had to process it, and I sat with him. My father, he bought like 5 books for me. He said some people in the family wanted him. That was his way of apologizing. Because he couldn't apologize outright. But his way, he bought 5 books for me. And we sat and talked, and he was talking to me about some things. And, my father really he has some really deep ancient wisdom. My father is a mystic. He is a mystic. He is a mind. He is. And I'm starting to understand him better. And with me understanding him better and what happened in his life, I understand myself better. And I understand how I can be a better father, how I can be a better man, how I can be a better spiritual guidance to those who are going through some of the same things. Through my experiences, I can share them. Because life is too short. That's why we read autobiographies. Because life is too short to learn from just one lifetime. We got to learn from other people's lives. So, man, I'm still processing that, man. And I talk to my father sometimes, man, all I can do is smile. And after that, I met him at a coffee shop and got to pick his brain a little bit more. And I could tell my father is proud of me, man. He might not say it, he might not express it. He has a hard time with emotional communication and elevation, but it's okay. And it shows me I'm at a place with God that I just got to keep going. I'm at a place with the Creator and the God within me that I just got to keep going, because emotional ascension is directly connected to spiritual ascension, and you can't get but so far without it. And I had to be shown that by showing my father, man. My father, man, he's not a bad man. You know, he's not a bad man. He just made some bad decisions regarding the seeds that he planted, you know, not cultivating his harvest, man. That's all. That's all that was, man. And I don't plan on continuing that. You know, I would love, you know, I have had my ups and downs as a father and finding my own way, not having any family, you know, but I'm striving to do better every day and become better and figure it out. You know, come up with solutions the best way that I can, you know, and stand on my masculinity and understanding that it's coming from a pure place, man. Man, that was so deep when I see my father, man. And when I was sitting down talking to him, I was asking, I said, Dad, you remember when you told me this, when you told me that? He was like, well, not quite, son. I really don't remember that, but I wouldn't doubt that I said it because of this reason. Because I remember my father told me one time he was abducted by UFOs when I was younger, when I was seeing them. Before I stopped seeing them, I was like maybe 8 or 9. I don't know, maybe, I can't, man, it might have been. Then I seen him again when I was a teenager once, a young teenager. And he said, nah, I don't remember that, but, you know, a UFO, that would probably be like a spiritual experience from some unidentified being. I said, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, my father is, he's very spiritually wise, you know, but that just goes to show how you can be spiritually inclined, but if you have a lack of connection with your emotional biochemistry, what's going on with you emotionally, and you're not able to connect with that and freely express yourself without holding back that way of expressing how you feel and not feeling ashamed of it, not feeling hesitant just because you're a man and we're not supposed to feel. We got feelings too. It's just all about your emotional reactivity. How do you utilize it and alchemize it and be able to learn how to express it as an art? You know, and not just through art. Sometimes you have to express it and get in touch with the black woman in you and be able to express it in a way that is beneficial for everybody, that can help you vent, help people learn to listen, because the moment when people feel like they're heard is when they start healing. And I felt like my dad heard me, even though he might have not have fully embraced it and reciprocated it. He heard me, and at that moment I understood that I'm the daddy now. All by way of me writing this book. I reunited with my dad, and he came to my book signing because he was proud of me. And he bought 5 books for me, and we got a chance to talk, and we've been talking ever since. This was in 2022, the summer of 2022. Yeah, man, that's the day I forgave my dad. So shout out to the creator. Shout out to ancestor veneration. I'm telling y'all, I wrote this book. It was a whole spiritual experience. I was just a vessel for the creator and the ancestors speaking through me to even find the confirmation that this was actually a true historical character that I created on my own. Before I knew anything about any information about Abraham, I created him as a character in my book as the main character and put some of my attributes of me into him. Then I got a book called Invisible War. The Invisible War. Y'all can check that book out too. And that's when I found all the information about Abram in that book. And I made the connection. But before I made the connection with my father, I made the connection with the ancestors and the creator on a deeper spiritual level through my writing, because it is a different part of the brain, and through my heart and through my DNA, which put me in line with universal law, and it attracted everything I needed to heal and go further on my healing and self-discovery journey. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? That's deep, man. That's deep, man. It almost brings me to tears talking about it, man. Tears of joy, because you just never, creativity is so spiritual, man. So much value, more value in it than money, man. Money can never buy that. You know, so for all my men out there, man, that and women, that grew up without their father, forgive them. Forgive them. Heal your heart chakra. Heal the energy around your heart. And God will open doors for you. Priceless assets of life will be available to you. Peace and wellness to the family.